What's up, nerds? So in this lesson, what we're actually going to do is mock up a mood board or a brief for a shoot. And we'll talk about the 8 essential categories you need to consider. And I'll show you 5 steps to building a mood board that you can use for any shoot. So if you're putting together a collection for competitions or branding for your salon, or you just want a nice concise way to communicate your vision to a creative team that you might be testing with, this will help. So the 5 steps you'll take to creating a comprehensive mood board are: concept your idea, prepare your workflow, gather the images, organize the files, and lay out the mood board. And the 8 categories that you're going to consider are hair, makeup, wardrobe, photography, talent look, talent pose, location, and miscellaneous. So now I'm going to put together a mood board for a mock shoot following these 5 steps, and then you can just sort of follow along with my workflow. The first thing you're going to do is open up a document and name the shoot. Now, I like to use Keynote for this because it's an easy to use thing. Now, by the way, I'm working on an Apple Mac, so I'm going to use Mac controls and Mac shortcuts when I explain this to you. So what you do is name the shoot, and then you're going to add a bunch of pages so that you've got a page for each of the 8 categories that you need to consider. Next thing you're going to do is you're going to open a new folder on your desktop, and you're going to name that folder whatever the shoot it is. For this case, we're going to call it the How to Hair shoot. Open up a browser window and type in Dutch Masters. We've got some weird stuff come up here, so I just want to kind of go along here and find the Dutch Masters portraits. And looking at Google Images, I can start to click on these images. The next thing you want to do is open up that folder on your desktop and just resize your windows a little bit so that they can see them, and you can easily then just drag and drop images from Google directly into that folder. And when you click on an individual image, it's going to bring up related images, which is quite a good way to just see if there's something else that you can find in there that might be relative for what you're looking for. So thinking about the girl with the pearl earring, we'll just grab that one and drag that and drop that into that folder. At this stage, you're just dropping all the images you find into one folder. So now I'm going to look for some neon hair references. Oh, this afro one here reminds me of some images I saw that I loved. It was I wonder if they're in this related images thing here. No, they're not. It was a Vogue cover shoot with bright hair with Gigi Hadid. Let me have a quick look here. I can't see it anywhere here, but what I might do is just grab this one here because I quite like that color. That two-tone color as a color reference. We'll just drop that one in there. I think it was an Italian Vogue shoot with Guido and Gigi Hadid. Let's have a look. Guido, Italian Vogue, Gigi. That's it. That's the shoot I was looking for with these colorful afros. That jewelry's amazing. So we'll drag and drop a few of those in there. Quite like that wardrobe reference with that metallic swimsuit as well. So we'll just drag and drop a few of those images into there. And all you're going to do at this point is go through and look for images, photographic references. So at this stage I'm looking at Paolo Reversi, who I love his beauty shots, because I know that if we're going to do this shoot with Dutch Masters portraits but with bright neon hair, I want to have a kind of a dirty finish to the images just to juxtapose the brightness and the sharp lines of the hair. So we'll grab some Paolo Reversi references with that little bit of camera blur and camera move. We might find some makeup references that we quite like in here. I quite like those eyebrows. We'll chuck those in there. And just by going through this process, oh, this shoot, I remember that. I love that makeup and that photography. We'll try and replicate that for this shoot. Now I'm going to go to models.com and start having a little look around for talent, because I know that models.com have some great new faces and it's a really good reference point for kind of modern muses. At this point I'm going to just jump on their Instagram and have a little bit of a scroll through there and see if there's any new faces I can see. The models.com website is really comprehensive and there's a lot of stuff in there. It can be a bit hard to truck through, so Instagram's good for this. Oh, that's a cool face. Oh, I can't drop and drag that. So what I'll do is I'll just take screenshots here and I'll just go through the models.com Instagram and grab some interesting faces that I think will work for this shoot, things that just spin my wheels. And I'm going to go through and just screenshot all of those. Now, you'll notice that the screenshots are just going straight to my desktop. So once I've grabbed all of those, I'm going to have to grab all the screenshots from my desktop and drop them into the How to Hair Shoot folder. So I've got everything in one folder together and it's nice and tidy. Then I'm going to go through and make an individual folder within the folder for each of the 8 categories. So hair, makeup, wardrobe, photography, talent. Then we'll go into talent and make 2 separate folders because one is about the look and one is about the pose. And then we need one for location and another one for miscellaneous. You'll see how we use the miscellaneous one later. Now I'm going to open another window just to make it a little bit easier. And what I'm going to do is go through and start with the hair folder. And what I'm doing here is I'm copying and pasting the images rather than dragging and dropping. So what I'm doing is pressing Apple C, then I'm going to the hair folder and pressing Apple V, so that we're copying and pasting and leaving the images in the main folder for now, because you might want to use the same image for multiple categories to represent multiple categories. For example, I might have some stuff that I want to put into talent pose and photography, and I might have some stuff that might want to sit in photography and in makeup at the same time. So use that function, just copy and paste the images across and go through each folder one by one and go through each of the images that you've collected one by one and just categorize them across into each of those folders. What will happen when you're doing this is that you'll start to see a bit of a pattern emerging in the kind of the vibe or the creative direction that you're putting together. And the other thing that you'll see is you might start to get some inspiration for other elements. Like, for example, with the Gigi Vogue shoot, I got quite inspired by the wardrobe. Now, what I'm just doing here, once I've gone through and put them all into their individual folders, is grabbing them all and putting them, so just grabbing all the images and dropping them into the miscellaneous folder just to tidy it all up so that my main folder is nice and clean and tidy and it's just the 8 categories. Then I'm going to go through and just take a quick look in each of those folders and make sure that I've got enough images. At this point I realize I haven't got much in the, I've got nothing in the studio or location one and not much in wardrobe. So just going to go to Google Images and grab a couple of backdrops, sort of rough painted canvas backdrops, because that's the vibe we want for this shoot. Drop them in there, and then I'm going to go through Google and grab some images of accessories and jewelry, as I said, inspired by the Gigi shoot, the jewelry that she was wearing, and then grab some other wardrobe references. I want to look at some kind of warrior woman style swimsuits, but I do want them to be high fashion, so I quite often just chuck in Vogue in there because that helps to narrow it down. Then what you're going to do is open up your document again, and you're going to go through and name each of the pages according to each of the categories and give each page, each category a little description. So in this case with the hair, we've got shapes reminiscent of Dutch masters' portraits and religious headwear, coloured in neon brights with abstract texture. Then we'll go through and do the same thing for makeup, wardrobe, talent, photography, location, and once we've done all of those 8 categories, then you can just go and grab the images from the folder. So what I like to do is just highlight all the images and then just drag them across and drop them into Keynote. And what you're going to do once you've dropped them in there is just start arranging them into the kind of shapes that you want, or the kind of individual categories. So for here I've got one for color, I've got one for shape and texture, and then I've got sort of one for general mood. And I realized that I was missing a few things in terms of the shape there, this religious headwear shape. So as you're laying it up, you'll find that there's stuff missing, and you can go and grab that from Google and drop it in there and just move them around. At this point, what you're going to do is really start to fine-tune the vision for the shoot. And this doesn't mean that it's locked in stone, but what it does do is make it a little bit easier for you to communicate with everyone else. When you lay the pictures up, what you'll do is you'll see that less is more. I prefer, where possible, just to have 3 to 5 images for each category or subcategory, if you can do that. Talent you can go a little bit further with, but you'll get a general vibe there. photography, you want to try and keep it as clear as possible, and thinking about backgrounds, kind of lighting style, and pose references. And then once you've gone through and done that, you've got your brief. So this is the How to Hair brief. Dutch masters, hair shapes reminiscent of the portraits with these bright colours, a totally raw or sort of naive painted makeup, tropical warrior with large ornamentation, and then gender neutral faces with unique characters. Thinking girl with a pearl earring, girl at the window, those Dutch masters portraits for the posing, and a little bit of that Paolo Roversi reference for the photography. We're going to shoot in the studio with a rough dark canvas backdrop, and that is your brief. That was pretty easy, wasn't it? So what I'd love to do is I really want to see what briefs you guys make following this plan. So why don't you go ahead and make yourself a brief for a shoot that you might have coming up. Post it as a PDF into our private Facebook group, and get feedback and give feedback to each other so that you can really help develop each other's skills. So I hope that was useful. We went through the 5 steps to building a mood board and the 8 categories that you need to consider. We built a mock mood board. Now it's your turn. See you in the next lesson.